Hi, everybody. I wanted to give you a behind the scenes peek at the process that we have all been going through here at WHAM to put together this digital production of ROE. There have been so many new things that we've been doing, and like with most productions, we thought, maybe our audience might be interested in seeing how this has all come together. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'm going to talk you through our process. I did this with my family over a family Zoom last weekend, and everybody was really impressed by how WHAM has been putting together this production. So they all suggested that I share it with the Whamily. So here we go. This is a project management tool called Asana that we are using with the ROE team to keep track of everything that we need to think about with the production while we work remotely. So you can see that we have different areas that we all need to be thinking about, and every task that is connected to what we need to do has a person in charge, has a deadline date, so that we can keep track of all of the different things that need to be done for the production. As you know, the cast of ROE is 10 people, and there are ensemble members who play multiple characters. So we had quite a long journey going through and trying to figure out who is playing what. And so you can see they have a lot of different characters, and we were trying to figure out how are we going to do this over Zoom and know that they have different characters. So our costume designer, Deborah Brothers, and her assistant, Calypso Mikale, have come up with a really cool process. They took a character. So for example, here's actor Daniel Rios. He plays all the different characters that you see in bold. And they thought about what that character might wear based on some research that they did. So they pulled some research about what people looked like at the time, or what they could look like, what they could be inspired by. And they sent this to Daniel, and they asked if he had anything in his home already, in his closet, that he might be able to wear for these characters. So then we did a costume fitting where we took pictures of Daniel showing us the different costumes that he has, the different pieces of clothing. And then our designers took all of those and decided what the looks for all of his different characters would be. So you can see that they then sent this to Daniel, and they said, this is what we want you to wear for Henry McCluskey. And then they asked Daniel to go in and take a picture of himself in his costume so that we could have a record of what we want him to look like in each scene. And so that was the third part of the costume process, is we got pictures, and here is Daniel in his costumes. So when you watch the digital production, you will see him wearing all these different things, which for the most part, he already owned. So you might be wondering, how are we doing the storytelling on Zoom? Well, we started by making a storyboard. So our scenic designer, Juliana von Haubrick, we met with myself, with the designers, the assistant directors, the assistant designers, and we storyboarded. And she literally did all of these as pencil drawings of what we thought this could look like on screen. We knew, because we're working with Outpost Productions who are going to edit our video, that we could manipulate the Zoom squares. So we didn't have to have just 4 people, or however many people are normally in a Zoom. The editors would actually be able to move the squares around, make them bigger or smaller. So if you haven't guessed already, this isn't going to be a live digital production. We are actually rehearsing right now. We're recording our rehearsals, and then we are sending those recordings to our video editors who are going to edit them all together. So this was the first step of the storyboarding process, and we had all of our designers come through and make notes about what we would need to add. The next step for Juliana was to turn this into computer renderings. So we have this fancy tool called Airtable, which our stage manager, Hope Rose Kelly, has become really amazing at. And in there, we have the entire storyboard that Juliana has done. She has turned all of those storyboard drawings into computer renderings. So this is the opening of the play. This is a version of what you will all see once it's edited together. And this is the Supreme Court Justice that was there when the Roe v. Wade decision was handed down. And you can see that our actors will start to overlay the Supreme Court. And then our actors will become the Supreme Court for the purposes of our storytelling. And Sarah Weddington will appear and then speak to us. And then Norma McCorvey will pop in. And you can see how this is what the video editors can look at to understand how they can edit the play together. And to help our actors know what to do, we've actually mailed them all a green screen. And we are helping them. Juliana created these ground plans to know where to place their camera, how far to be from the camera, and where they need to be standing in order for us to get the view that we need inside the storyboard. And you might be wondering how that's all going to work. So for example, this would be raw Zoom footage, right? I am videotaping with the actors and we're rehearsing, and I'm thinking about what direction they need to be looking at in their Zoom squares, and they all have a place in their house where they have put their green screen. They've all worked with our lighting designer, Aja Jackson, to make sure that the lighting is how we want it, as consistent as possible, that it has the feeling that we want for that particular scene that Aja wants. Then our video editors will crop the layouts once they get our footage to figure out how to make them look bigger or smaller. They're going to add the virtual backgrounds that we have uploaded into files so that these characters can now be in the park. And they'll be in their costume and they'll all look like they're in the same place. Or here's another example. You'll have two actors, Ryan and Tara, two actors who will be rehearsing in their home. We have sent them a red and white checkered tablecloth, and they will be rehearsing at a table. They'll put the tablecloth on. Ryan will sit like this and we'll record, and Tara will sit at her table like this, and they'll have their green screen behind them. And then our editors at Outpost Production will add our overarching background. They'll add the virtual backgrounds into Ryan and Tara's square, and bam, you have our final look in post-production. And so as you can see, as you go through the storyboard, we have all the different ways that these scenes might look. Here's one that I find really interesting, is like we're in the doctor's office or we're in the lawyer's office. So you can see all of the different storyboards, and I won't give too much more away. The other thing that's really amazing about Airtable, you can have your whole furniture list. We have our costume list. We can sort by things. What has been my favorite place to go has been the scheduling page. It has been incredibly challenging to figure out how we're going to schedule everything. So Hope Rose Kelly, our extraordinary stage manager, this is the schedule for tomorrow, for example. At 11:20, Juliana and Aja are going to spend 10 minutes checking Susanna and Tara's spaces to make sure that it's set up the way we need it to be for the grocery store. And I can see from this schedule the Zoom link I need to go to, the actors that are involved in the scene, any notes about what needs to happen. I can go to the actual storyboard to remind myself what happens in the scene, any notes for that scene, what the props are, what the costume looks are, so that all of the actors can look at this and they can see exactly how they need to prepare for that particular day of filming. And then we have the rest of the day. I can go, okay, and then we're going to move on to this, we're going to move on to that. And every scene has its own Zoom link, and it has its own reminders about how every scene is laid out. So it's completely fascinating and it's super helpful. And we've called it the recipe box. Every actor has their own recipe box. There's a digital recipe box, and we've also mailed them a physical recipe box that has their tablecloth, any props that they might need that they didn't already have at home, anything that we needed to send them, like the green screen. So how is this all going to then come together for your viewing pleasure? Well, we are creating a microsite that will be attached to our ROE website. So when you book a ticket, you're going to get a link. You're going to put that password in, and it's going to bring you to a home page of the ROE experience. And there are going to be, here's an example of an early draft of what that might look like. When you arrive, you'll see that there are 4 different possible places where you can click on to get more information. Obviously, if you click the watch, that's where you'll watch the video from October 17th to the 20th. But if you click on the Learn, you'll get to scroll through this extraordinary dramaturgy display that our dramaturg, another dynamic duo, Talia Kingston and Tatiana Godfrey, are putting together. You'll also be able to click through to register to vote, because in Massachusetts, you can register to vote until October 24th. So be sure to do that. You can also go and listen and learn more in an interview with our scholar in residence, Laura Briggs, or watch some videos with our beneficiaries. I highly recommend you watch those, these 3 extraordinary organizations, plus a lot of other content that you can loop into. We have some guiding questions to think about the overarching theme of reproductive justice. We're also going to have a special opportunity to participate in a dialogue for a limited number of people on October 24th with our dialogue consultants, Essential Partners, who are experts in dialogue across difference. So lots of different ways to get involved and participate in what we're doing. I hope you enjoyed this behind the scenes peek. I know my family was agog at how much has gone into putting this together. I hope you enjoy it too. I hope it inspires you to support WHAM, support this story at this important time, and to go to whamtheater.com to book your tickets. We have 5 different tiers of ticketing for accessibility, so hopefully it makes it possible for anybody to join us to view this from between October 17th to the 20th. Thank you so much.